Coraxus the Great, commander of the Crimson Scourge, butcher of Tanhauser's Gate, conqueror of 73 solar systems, etc., etc., came out of hyperspace followed by his vast armada and surveyed the small blue-green planet ahead of him. His advanced scouts had assured him that their technological level was so far beneath his that the victory would be easy. It had looked so easy, in fact, that he had toyed with the idea of giving it to his subordinate. But no, he had standards to maintain, and conqueror of 74 solar systems sounded better than conqueror of 73. The helm turned to him and said, "We are within range of their primitive communications systems. O great commander," he cleared his throat majestically. "Open comms open." He put on his best conqueror's tone. "Insignificant creatures of Earth. It is your privilege to be the 74th conquest of Coraxus the Great, commander of the Crimson Scourge, etc., etc. You will bow before me whilst I consider whether I shall spare your lives or crush you like bugs and leave your world a pile of ash." And then he gestured to cut transmission and boredly waited for their response. Almost immediately a human voice replied, "Ah, Commander Coraxus. Earth formally thanks you for your invitation to invade us and really appreciates your enthusiasm and is gratified by the attention of someone as illustrious as yourself. Unfortunately, we cannot comply with your request at this time as there are already 2 pre-existing claims to our planet. Rest assured that we are doing our best to resolve this matter so we can adequately and properly deal with your invitation. You are now number 3 in the queue. Please proceed to Quadrant Gamma and wait for further communication. Have a nice day," and ended the conversation. Coraxus paused while he tried to process the message. He turned to the helm. "Is the translator protocols malfunctioning? Did she just tell us to wait?" The helm hurriedly ran a diagnostic and then chose his words very carefully because one wrong word could be his last. "Diagnostics show translator protocols running perfectly, O great commander. And my perceptions certainly matched yours in every respect, O great and beneficent commander." And he gulped and closed his eyes and waited to be blasted out of existence. He opened one eye. Coraxus was leaning back in his throne-like chair and had forgotten about it. He almost fainted with joy. Coraxus spoke. "Scan the area." The helm immediately snapped back to full efficiency, scanning area. Sure enough, they found 2 other massive alien armadas patiently parked facing the Earth. Coraxus' 3 eyes narrowed, focusing on the tactical display. To his port sat the vanguard of the Eternal Void, a fleet of obsidian monoliths known for erasing civilizations from history. To his starboard, the biosplicers of Hive Maltus, who typically didn't wait for anything, they simply consumed. Both were silent. Both were stationary. Both were parked. "Helm," Coraxus whispered, his voice trembling with a cocktail of fury and existential confusion. "Hail the Void Admiral. Ask him why he hasn't turned that marble into a graveyard yet." A moment later, the screen flickered to life. Void Admiral Zark, a being of living shadow, appeared. He looked tired. Not battle-worn, but the kind of tired one feels after spending 6 hours on hold with a galactic insurance provider. "Oh, it's you, Coraxus," Zark sighed. "Don't bother. I tried to jump the queue. They redirected my main capacitors to a customer satisfaction survey. My flagship is currently playing a loop of something they call bossa nova. It's psychologically devastating." "You are the Void Admiral," Coraxus roared. "Fire your planet cracker." "I can't," Zark replied flatly. "The biosplicers said it would be an act of war against one of their possessions. You see, the argument comes down to who was first. We were first to jump into the solar system, but the biosplicers were first to the planet and give their conquering speech. It's a matter of jurisdiction, you see. I'm waiting for my legal counsel to arrive from the home system, but they're stuck behind the Maltusians." Suddenly, Coraxus' console pinged. A high-priority data packet arrived from the planet's surface. Subject: "Welcome to the queue, valued invader. From Earth Department of Interstellar Acquisitions and Doomsday Management." The file contained a 400-page PDF regarding atmospheric pollutants, Invasion Division, a ticket number 003, a list of local radio stations to enjoy during the wait, a voucher for 10% off orbital refueling, valid only on Tuesdays. Coraxus felt a vain throb in his secondary forehead. They are mocking us. They are treating the Crimson Scourge like a nuisance. He slammed his fist onto the arm of his throne. Gunnery. Target their largest satellite. Let us see how they handle a taste of. Commander. The helm interrupted, his voice hitting a frantic pitch. The humans are hailing us again. Audio only. Put it through, Coraxus hissed. I will hear their pleas before I burn them. Commander Coraxus, the same cheerful human voice from before resonated through the bridge. We noticed your weapon systems are cycling. Just a friendly heads up, if you fire within the neutral waiting zone, you'll forfeit your place in line and will be moved to the back, behind the Glorp Collective, who are currently expected to arrive in 3 weeks. Also, we'd have to charge you a hazardous discharge fee. It's quite steep. Coraxus gasped. You dare? I have conquered 73 systems. I have waded through the blood of. That's lovely, dear, the voice interrupted. But we have a schedule. The Malthusians are scheduled for a standard bioharvest at 2 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, provided they finish their invasive species risk assessment. If you'd like to expedite your conquest, we do offer a warpass premium. For the low price of 3 tons of refined antimatter, you can skip the Malthusians. Would you like me to send you the invoice? Coraxus looked at the Void Admiral on the other screen. Zark simply nodded slowly. I paid for the warpass, Coraxus. That's why I'm pending number 1. It's a scam, but honestly, their coffee is excellent. They sent a drone over with a latte. I think I'm starting to like them. Coraxus the Great, butcher of Tanhauser's Gate, sank back into his throne. He looked at the small blue-green planet. It wasn't shielded. It wasn't armed with superweapons. It was armed with something far more terrifying, a fully functioning galactic bureaucracy. Helm, Coraxus said weakly. Yes, oh great and patient commander. Scan the warpass details. And see if they have any of that latte left. While Coraxus waited for his warpass to clear, the biosplices of Hivemaltus, a swarm of insectoid horrors that had liquidated entire sectors, finally reached the front of the line. Coraxus watched his monitors, expecting a glorious display of carnage. Instead, he saw a single, unarmed human shuttle drift toward the massive hive ship. Attention, Hivemaltus, a voice broadcasted over the public frequency. It wasn't the polite secretary from before. This voice sounded like a weary middle manager who had seen too many spreadsheets. This is Gary from Planetary Compliance. We've reviewed your bioharvest application. It's been rejected. A screeching, chittering sound erupted from the Hivemaltus flagship. We are the swarm. We consume. We do not fill out applications. Yeah, look, I get that, Gary replied, the sound of a stapler clicking in the background. But you've listed humanity as a primary protein source. Unfortunately, the human genome was trademarked by a pharmaceutical conglomerate last Tuesday. If you consume so much as a single toddler, you'll be in violation of interstellar intellectual property law. Our legal team will have an injunction on your home hive before you finish your first course. The Malthusian fleet shuddered. For a species that shared a single hive mind, the sudden realization of a class action lawsuit was the equivalent of a massive stroke. Also, Gary added, your swarm drones don't meet our local emissions standards. You're leaking pheromones at a rate that's frankly embarrassing. I'm going to have to ask you to back up 10,000 kilometers or I'll have the galactic EPA tow your flagship. Coraxus watched as the terrifying biosplicers, creatures that had haunted his nightmares, actually began to parallel park further away from Earth, their mandibles clicking in frustrated confusion. His helm whispered, Commander, the humans just sent another message. They say that because you're a legacy conqueror with over 70 systems, you qualify for their gold-tier conquest package. It includes a dedicated account manager and a complimentary end-of-the-world commemorative keychain. Coraxus looked at his massive cannons, then at the ticket number 003 glowing on his screen. He felt a strange, terrifying realization. He wasn't a conqueror anymore. He was a client. Coraxus leaned forward and put his heads in his hands. He thought for a while and then said subordinate. Subordinate Gree snapped to attention. Yes, Sir, reschedule my 75th conquest until next Wednesday and inform my wife that I may be late for dinner again. The subordinate looked uncomfortable. That will be the second time this galactic week. Oh, great commander. She will not be happy, I know. I know, and you did promise her that you would be prompt from now on. Coraxus up and glared at him. Gree immediately snapped to attention. Your will is law, oh great commander, and then scarpered like his life depended on it. Because it did. Coraxus sighed, a sound like grinding tectonic plates. He stared at the screen where the now serving 001 sign flashed mockingly. Helm, Coraxus muttered, get me that human again. The one with the account manager voice. Right away, oh great and domestically compromised commander. The screen flickered. Instead of the previous voice, a visual feed appeared. A middle-aged woman named Brenda sat in what appeared to be a cubicle. She was wearing a headset and sipping from a mug that said World's Best Grandparent and Worst Enemy. Earth Acquisitions, this is Brenda. How can I help you today, Commander Cora? Sorry, the font is a bit small. Coraxus? Is that a hard C? Coraxus bristled. It is the C of 1,000 screams, human. Listen, I need to reschedule my conquest. My 75th, well, technically my 74th, since you're being difficult, has been pushed to next Wednesday. I need to ensure my slot in the queue remains valid. Brenda clicked something on her screen, the light reflecting off her glasses. Oh, Wednesday is tough, honey. We've got the Intergalactic Federation of Sentient Gas Clouds coming in for a peaceful summit at 10 o'clock, and then a scheduled apocalypse at 2 p.m. I can fit you in for a slightly above-average skirmish at 16:30, but I can't guarantee a full conquest until Friday. Friday is impossible. Coraxus threw his hands up, all four of them. It's my eldest spawn's molting ceremony. If I miss that, my wife will have my heads on a literal platter. Do you have any idea how hard it is to maintain a marriage while managing a transgalactic armada? Brenda's expression softened. Oh, I hear you, Cora. My husband was a star-eater. Always out consuming the light of hope, never home for the PTA meetings. Tell you what, since you've been so polite, unlike those Malthusians, honestly, the nerve, I can put you on the priority wait list. And what does that entail? Coraxus asked suspiciously. Well, Brenda leaned in, for a small administrative fee, say, the schematics for your Crimson Scourge stealth plating. I can bump you up the moment the Void Admiral finishes. And, she paused, looking around as if sharing a secret, I can send an official interstellar summons to your wife's neural link. It'll make it look like we're forcing you to stay here for diplomatic hostage negotiations. She can't be mad at you if it's a war crime, right? Coraxus froze. A slow, toothy grin spread across his face. This was brilliant. This was tactical genius. You would do this? You would provide me with a verified alibi for my tardiness? Commander, Brenda smiled, on Earth, we have a saying, the customer is always right, even when they're trying to enslave us. I'll send the hostage paperwork over now. Would you like the standard abduction template or the heroic last stand version? The latter really sells the I tried to get home for dinner vibe. Heroic last stand, Coraxus said firmly, with extra explosions in the background of the image. You got it. Now, go park behind that nebula and try the local Earth broadcast on Channel 84. It's called The Price is Right. It'll help pass the time. As the comms cut, Coraxus looked at Gree, who was still trembling by the door. Gree, the commander said thoughtfully, tell the science division to cancel the research on their nuclear capabilities. Sir, we don't need to fear their weapons, Coraxus whispered, watching the Malthusian fleet being towed away by a single human tugboat for illegal parking. We need to fear their customer service. They've conquered us, and we haven't even fired a single shot. We're actually paying them for the privilege of waiting to fight them. Gree nodded slowly. Shall I order the latte now, sir? Make it 2, Coraxus sighed. It's going to be a long week. As Coraxus is enjoying his second latte and getting used to feeling strangely invigorated and chilled at the same time, his helm reported another armada has just dropped out of hyperspace, O great commander." He signaled to the helm open comms. The new armada started its spiel. "Insignificant creatures of the planet called Earth, you are hereby notified." Don't interrupted Coraxus, "just do yourself a favor and move on. You are so back in the queue that your sons will have to finish the invasion." Who interrupts the mighty and magnificent Minkart III. "Look, kid, I am doing you a favor. Leave now with your dignity intact and before you become addicted to their lattes and smooth jazz radio." Minkart III didn't listen. He was young, his carapace was still shiny, and his ego was larger than his dreadnought. On the view screen, Minkart's image appeared. A spindly, iridescent creature with too many eyes and a very expensive-looking cape. "Coraxus? Is that you? The Crimson Scourge is idling?" Minkart sneered, his mandibles clicking in derision. "I heard you had gone soft, but I didn't realize you'd become a celestial traffic cone. Move aside. I have a planet to liquefy." Coraxus took a long, slow sip of his latte, the foam clinging to his upper mandibles. "Minkart, listen to me. See those black monoliths over there? That's the Void Admiral. He's currently filing a 10K environmental impact report. And those bugs to the right? They're arguing with a woman named Brenda about trademark infringement. Just go home, kid." "Never," Minkart screamed. "I shall burn this world and—" Ahem. The open comms channel was suddenly hijacked by a crisp, high-definition signal. It wasn't Brenda this time. It was a man in a sharp suit sitting in a mahogany-paneled office. A small nameplate on his desk read, "Agent Smithus, Department of Interstellar Traffic and Zoning." "Good morning, mighty and magnificent Minkart," Smithus said, not looking up from his tablet. "I'm afraid you've entered a no-flex zone. Your current posture is 15% more aggressive than local ordinances allow. Please power down your death ray to standby or I'll be forced to issue a citation." Minkart's eyes bugged out. "You dare threaten me? I will rain fire upon your—" Yeah, rain fire, pillars of salt. We've heard it all morning," Smithus interrupted, finally looking up. He looked incredibly bored. "Look, Minkart, you're the fourth armada today. We're actually at capacity. If you want to stay, you'll have to use the valet parking service. Please surrender control of your helm to our automated tug-drones." "I surrender nothing," Minkart roared. "Gunnery. Fire a warning shot at the planet's capital." "Wait," Coraxus yelled over the comms. "Don't do it, you fool. The late fees are—" It was too late. A beam of pure thermal energy shot from Minkart's flagship, streaking toward the Earth. Then it was intercepted by both the Void Swarm and the biosplicers. "Don't you dare jump the queue." Simultaneously on his vidscreen, words started appearing. "Targeted energy bursts are a violation of the Clean Space Act, 2024. Current fine, 4 million credits. Click here to pay now and receive a 5% early villain discount." Minkart stared. What is this?" "That's the aggressive marketing defense system," Coraxus explained, leaning back and enjoying the show. "They don't block your shots, Minkart. They monetize them. You just funded their local school district for the next 3 centuries. Personally, I'd have gone with the boutique conquest package, but you always were a spender." Smithus sighed into his microphone. "Minkart, since you've initiated a hostile transaction without a pre-approved credit line, I'm afraid I have to put a boot on your flagship." Suddenly, 4 small human drones clamped onto Minkart's engines. A massive, neon-yellow electromagnetic lock engaged with a loud clank that echoed through the vacuum of space. Don't ask how, Earth's tech was just that annoying. "You're towed, buddy," Smithus said, closing his tablet. "Coraxus, sorry about the noise. Your table for the glorious subjugation is still set for Friday at 16:30. Would you like us to send some appetizers over to your bridge while you wait? We have a lovely spinach artichoke dip." Coraxus looked at the fuming, immobilized Minkart, then back at his latte. "Yes, Agent Smithus," Coraxus said, his voice filled with a strange, new peace. "And send some for the Void Admiral too." He looks like he's having a rough time with his tax audit. Coraxus turned to Gree. You know, Gree, I think I'm starting to understand why no one has ever successfully invaded this place. Because of their hidden superweapons, sir? No, Coraxus whispered, watching Minkart try to argue with a robotic parking meter. Because they've turned war into administration. And no one, not even the butcher of Tanhauser's Gate, can defeat a species that enjoys filing paperwork this much. The neutral hospitality pod was a glass-domed sphere floating at the gravitational midpoint of the three armadas. Inside, the atmosphere was pressurized, the lighting was a soothing amber, and a playlist of coffee shop lo-fi played softly from speakers hidden in the faux-potted ferns. Coraxus sat at a circular table, looking strangely domestic. To his left sat Void Admiral Zark, whose shadowy form was currently condensed into a dark, brooding puddle in a swivel chair. To his right was Minkart III, who was still wearing his booted flagship's transponder on his wrist like a badge of shame. In the center of the table sat a steaming bowl of spinach artichoke dip and a basket of toasted sourdough. It's surprisingly savory, Zark whispered, a shadowy tendril dipping a chip into the bowl. It almost distracts from the fact that my homeworld's sovereign wealth fund is currently being liquidated to pay for late filing penalties. I don't want dip. Minkart slammed a fist on the table. I want to see their cities in ruins. I want to hear the lamentations of their, oh, by the great nebula, this is good. Is that Parmesan? Pecorino, I think, Coraxus said, expertly spreading the dip with a small silver knife. Listen, kid. We need to talk. We're forming a union. A union? Minkart scoffed. We are conquerors. We don't unionize. We're the Association of Displaced Invaders, Local 402, Coraxus corrected him. Because I've been talking to Brenda. Do you know why they do this? Why they don't just fight us? Zark looked up from his chip. Because they are cowards. No, Coraxus said, leaning in. Because they found out that war is expensive. Brenda told me that a full-scale planetary defense costs approximately $4 trillion. But a well-staffed bureaucracy with a really annoying automated phone tree? That only costs about $6 million a year and some dental benefits. Minkart blinked all six eyes. They replaced their military with customer service to save on the budget. Exactly, Coraxus sighed. We're not being defeated by superior firepower. We're being defeated by efficiency. Look at the Malthusians. They didn't even get to the dip. They got hit with a cease and desist and fled because their hive mind couldn't handle the concept of hourly billing for legal consultations. Suddenly, the pod's door hissed open. Agent Smithers walked in, carrying a clipboard and a fresh carafe of coffee. How are we doing in here, gentlemen? Dip okay? Not too much garlic? Smithers, Coraxus said, his voice regaining some of its commander-level authority. We've been talking. We've decided we're not waiting until Friday. We demand to be conquered. I mean, to conquer, now. Smithers checked his clipboard, clicked his pen, and sighed. I'd love to help you, Coraxus, I really would. But we've run into a bit of a snag. It seems your heroic last-stand alibi for your wife? It worked a little too well. Coraxus' primary heart skipped a beat. What do you mean? Well, Smithers leaned against the wall. She received the notice that you were being held hostage by a terrifying and primitive species. And, apparently, she didn't find it terrifying at all. She found it insulting. She's currently entering the system with the Crimson Matriarch fleet. She says if we don't return you by 6 p.m., she's going to speak to the manager of the entire planet. Coraxus' face went a pale shade of violet. She's here? With the Matriarch fleet? Smithers, you have to hide me. Put me in the queue. Move me to number 5000. I'll file the environmental reports. I'll do the tax audit. Too late, Smithers said, pointing out the glass dome. A fleet of ships, twice the size of Coraxus and painted a terrifying shade of furious pink, dropped out of hyperspace. A comms burst hit the pod so hard the spinach dip vibrated. Coraxus, I know you're in there. If you are not home by the time I finish this transmission, I am turning this galaxy around. Minkart looked at the massive fleet, then at Coraxus. She's very loud. She's a Karen of galactic proportions, Coraxus whimpered, hiding under the table. Smithus looked at his clipboard and smirked. Well, look at that. A new claimant to the planet. Coraxus, I'm afraid your wife just jumped the queue. She's now number 1. And honestly, I don't think Brenda has enough coffee in the world to handle this one. With a deep sigh, Coraxus joined his wife on her flagship and after paying the rather reasonable fee for a holding ticket, instructed his armada to return home where he would have dinner with his wife, although he would prefer to be stung all over by 1,000 void ticks. The others followed his lead and all left, leaving Earth all alone in the void once more. Smithus watched the armadas leave through his holoscreen, then switched it off, got up and put his coat on. He left his office and addressed his team. Great work, team. Another productive day. Good night. The rest of the team packed up and passed the cleaners coming in to tidy up because, as Smithus always said, a clean office is an efficient office. The silence of the office was thick and heavy, the kind of quiet that only exists after a day spent preventing the literal end of the world with nothing but a smile and a stubborn refusal to accept no as an answer. As the last of the staff filed out, one of the cleaners, a man named Dave who had been mopping the floors of the Department of Interstellar Acquisitions for 30 years, pushed his bucket into the center of the main tactical hub. He looked up at the massive holoscreens, now showing nothing but the empty, peaceful black of the Sol system. Heard we had a triple threat today, Dave remarked to his partner, a younger woman named Sarah who was busy wiping down Brenda's desk. 4, if you count the wife, Sarah replied, tossing a used tissue into the bin. Smithus handled it well. The no-flex zone was a nice touch. Very creative. Dave chuckled, dipping his mop into the suds. The bureaucracy is a good shield. It's funny, isn't it? These great conquerors come here expecting shields and plasma fire. They're prepared for a fight. They're excited for a fight. But nobody prepares for a 400-page PDF, Sarah agreed. Exactly. Dave's eyes twinkled. You can't be a hero against a clerk. You can't be a martyr against a late fee. There's no glory in conquering a planet that insists you validate your parking first. He leaned on his mop, looking out the window toward the stars. Somewhere out there, the butcher of Tanhauser's Gate was currently being scolded for his choice of appetizer, and the Void Admiral was probably still trying to figure out his tax deductions. It's the ultimate HFY, Sarah, Dave whispered. We didn't just survive them. We domesticated them. We turned the terrors of the galaxy into our most reliable source of administrative revenue. Sarah smiled, placing a fresh World's Best Grandparent mug on Brenda's desk for the next morning. Efficiency is the greatest weapon in the universe, Dave. And Brenda? She's the deadliest soldier we've ever had. The lights dimmed to their night cycle setting. Outside, the small blue-green planet continued to spin, protected not by a fleet of ships, but by the most terrifying force ever conceived by sentient life, the front desk. Post-action report, classified. Case file, Operation Red Tape. Status, success. Casualties, none. Revenue generated, 12.4 billion credits, net. Note, send Brenda a fruit basket. She held the line on the hazardous discharge fee for 3 hours. Truly, the hero of her generation.